March was a real mix. I watched everything from devastating dramas to the new Jackass. I had some absolutely incredible experiences, and there are some films that I really don't intend on watching ever again. But today, I'm just sticking to the best films I watched last month.
Hey honey,
Summer has officially begun.
Starting off, we have one of the most devastating films I've ever had the chance to see, and it's The Normal Heart. Starring Mark Ruffalo, Jim Parsons and Julia Roberts, we have the story of the HIV crisis from the early 80s. The acting is absolutely superb, the story is important and doesn't feel like it tries too hard, and the film itself is just extremely well made. It's a hard watch, but one I think everyone should give a chance. It may come as a surprise to a lot of you, but this month was the first time I watched The Godfather in full. Of course, I'd seen bits of it, and I even tried watching it at the start of 2020, but I just couldn't do it on a small screen. And luckily, it was the 50th anniversary this month, so I had the chance to see it in cinemas. And it more than lived up to my expectations. Marlon Brando gives one of the best performances I've ever seen, the score is beautiful, Gordon Willis's photography is some of the best ever, and you truly don't want this film to end. Is there a more highly anticipated film this year than The Batman? Because I don't really think there can be. It gave us one of the most unique takes on Bruce Wayne that we've ever seen. The story is like a breath of fresh air when it comes to comic book movies. Robert Pattinson is quite possibly my favourite portrayal of Batman to date, and Greg Fraser's cinematography is beautiful to watch, with strong framing, striking lighting, and movement that keeps us in the story at all times. I'll also just add that I will be doing a video breaking down the cinematography as soon as this film gets a Blu-ray release. The Power of the Dog is one of those films that I kept saying to myself I'll watch and just never got around to it until this month, and it just blew me away and made me really regret not watching it sooner. The characters are absorbing to watch, the story is a fresh take on the Western genre, the acting is superb, and the cinematography is an absolute joy to watch. Oh, and who could forget that score? Johnny Greenwood just blows me away every single time. I'm gradually making my way through the Coen's filmography, and The Man Who Wasn't There was my pick for this month. And if you've paid attention to my channel recently, you'll note that I did a video on this film, which goes to show how much I loved it, linked in the top right corner in the description below. It felt like a fresh film from the Coens with an engaging story, which is a given with them, brilliant casting, absolutely gorgeous cinematography by the master himself, and yet another film that you just don't want to end. Really excited to see where each of the Coens go next. Unlike all of the other films on this list, you may not have heard of For Ellen, and if you have a Mubi account, I urge you to watch it straight away. At first glance, it's just a pretty generic indie film. We have a semi-new director, a couple of established actors, and a relatively depressing story. And whilst it has all of those, it's so much more. At only 93 minutes, it's a shorter feature, but we end up understanding so much about Joby. The story engages us from the first minute, and of course, the cinematography is wonderful to watch. Unfortunately, I watched The Upside a few years before watching The Untouchables, and as I didn't hate it, I really never felt the urge to watch the original, but suddenly I got it, and now I really regret not watching it sooner. It's easily one of the most fun films I've seen in a while, it has the perfect mix of drama and comedy, stars a brilliant cast, and is a film I'll recommend to absolutely everyone. It's easily one of my favourite films of all time. Drive My Car has been at the top of my watch list for a few months now, but only recently has it come to theatres. It's long, doesn't roll the opening credits until we are 45 minutes into the film, and has stretches where nothing happens for minutes of end, but I wouldn't have it any other way. The story is touching, the acting is phenomenal, the score is beautiful, and the cinematography is striking. Easily one of the best new films I've seen this year. Yet another film that's been on my watch list for a while is Training Day. I mean, for me, anything with Ethan Hawke or Denzel Washington is something I'm going to love, but stick both of them together in a crime thriller and you have something that I won't be able to tear my eyes away from. It's thrilling, has great characters, an incredibly strong story, and most of all, is fun to watch. Finally, we have possibly my most anticipated foreign film of the year, and that's The Worst Person in the World. It was everything I wanted it to be, with fun characters, a story that wasn't hard to follow but still had depth, a beautiful score and soundtrack, beautiful cinematography, and is simply just an extremely fun film. I can't recommend it enough. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know what to do if you did. If you have a recommendation for an analysis, leave it down below. Thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye.